Okay, so what we are doing here is we have these two devices, N7K1 and N7K2, same configuration on both. We have to create VDCs over here. This will be two VDCs on 7K3, 7K1 and 7K2, like this. We will name them VDC1. Sorry, just we will say this is VDC1 and we'll say VDC2. Similarly, what we'll do is we'll give the same name. Here also same VDC1 and VDC2. So no confusion for us. So our task here is to create VDCs and allocate the respective interfaces. And then we create two VLANs, that is the later on part. So how do we do that? We go on N7K1. Okay, what is this one required? Okay, do I want to enable admin VDC? Yes, I want to enable admin VDC. On my N7K2, you saw that we created an admin VDC by default. This one earlier it was there, but after creating, we have a blank system. This is also a fresh system. Let us log into our N7K1 and let us start the config. Till then we'll do the config in N7K2. Meanwhile, this device is coming up. We will do the configuration. So what interfaces are supposed to be here? VDC1 must have E4/23. So I'll write it down in Notepad. So how do you create a VDC? You be in the global configuration mode and you say VDC1 allocate interface E4/23, E4/18 and 19, right? So there are these three interfaces that I require for these two VDCs to communicate, right? So what I will do is I will copy these commands and I'll push to N7K2. So VDC1. Let's wait for a while. So VDC1 is created. Let's allocate the interfaces. Yes, move all the interfaces to that VDC. And now exit, create one more VDC. VDC name is 2. And again, we will allocate what is the number of interfaces? E4/31. 31 and E4/26 and 27, right? These are the interfaces. This is VDC2. As of now, simply we'll go on the configuration and we will say VDC2 is online. Please allocate the interface. Okay, maybe I copied something wrong. Yes. Yes. And now same config on N7K1. So what I did was I just said switch name and config T, nothing much. Now here we have to say VDC1. Sorry, I gave it a name like this only, no problem. But we cannot rename this VDC. So on my N7K2, this task is done. I created two VDCs and allocated two interfaces to it. This VDC job done, this VDC job done. Same on this side, right? Same configs, but here instead of 4, I have 3. Let's do that. Let's say what will be the config of router 1. I'll say VDC1. I will delete that VDC and I will say allocate interface Ethernet 4/23 E4/23 comma, sorry, I'll say it again, allocate interface E3/18-19. Let's copy this configuration. Let's go on. Yes, I will delete the name. I'll say no VDC. VDC. Yes, please delete it. And then I'll go ahead and create a VDC with the proper name. VDC1. It creates a VDC. And then just a moment and we'll allocate interfaces to it. Now that the VDC is online, we will allocate these interfaces to this VDC.
You already created, right?
We are allocating interfaces to it.
Name wasn't correct, right?
Yeah, name wasn't correct.
You will add the new.
Okay, so see, what does it say? It prompts me, if this is the newer iOS code 7.2, if you say 18 and 19, the whole port group will be allocated. Switch on chip, if you remember. Whole port group will be allocated. I can say show VDC membership. Is our task complete? VDC ID 0 is fine, but VDC ID 1 must have these interfaces, and we will create one more VDC. We will say config key VDC, VDC 2, no license, okay, license, grace period, and then please allow me to create. I have 120 days by default grace period. Let us see which interfaces are we supposed to allocate it to VDC ID 2. So we will say E/31 and then 26 and 27. So
Yes.
one by one we will see. VDC 2 I will create. At the moment it is being created, yeah, it is online. So let us say tap to it and allocate interface. Yes, enter after that. And also please allocate this interface. Push it, yes. It says again the port grouping will be given. Which command tells us the port group? Show interface, E, number and capabilities. It will tell us the port group. What is port group? Sorry, not this one. So if I say I have a port 1, 2, 3, 4, this is my port number. For example, E3/18. This port number belongs to a switch on chip that is shared. This port, all these 4 ports will share one ASIC. So if I want to allocate this one interface, all the interfaces relating to the same ASIC will be added. So you can say the ASIC is added. So automatically 18, maybe this is 20, 21 and 22 will automatically be added. 18 can be 20, can be 22. Although the interface numbers is not like that, but it is always 18, 19, even and odd. So all these 4 ports will be added. This is what it is saying us. So here we can see it says if you allocate only these 2 interfaces, automatically these interfaces will be allocated. So now first task is done. We have created VDCs, we have allocated interfaces. Now we will go in here and create a VLAN and make these interfaces as trunk. Okay, how do I go now? As of now, I am in the admin VDC. I have to go inside this VDC, right? So let us go to N7K1 and let us say switch to VDC1. I am now inside this VDC. I will configure these 2 ports as layer 2 and allow a trunk. Let us say like this, okay. Let's do it this way. Secure password standard. Normal complexity. No basic configuration. Okay. So this is the combined host name. My tenant will understand that he is using a shared box. I'll say configure terminal. You can create a VLAN. So what we will create is VLAN 10 and 20. VLAN 10 we will push outside and VLAN 20 for internal purposes. Okay, so we will say VLAN 10 exit, VLAN 20 exit. 2 VLANs, or we can give it a name also, no worries. But as of now, interface E3/18-19 switch port mode trunk, no shutdown. Basic parameters, and after that I will go back. I will say end switch back. I am now back in the admin VDC, and now I will go in the other VDC. I will say switch to VDC2. Now I am inside this box. I'll say no to secure standard CCIE. Password And back again on the global configuration mode, configure terminal VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and I will say interface E3/26-27, no shut, switch port, mode is trunk, and end. Let us see, can we see the CDP neighbors? Show CDP neighbors. I can see a VDC, VDC1, both interfaces are working fine, right? Show spanning tree for VLAN 10, just for checking what is the spanning tree. See, by default we are running rapid spanning tree protocol, and one is route forwarding and another is blocking. So we have VLAN setup, both VLANs are working. Now what we will do here is, for us to have, we will do the same configuration first. We'll do this same task over here also. So same stuff, no worries about that. Let's go in here. Let's say and let's say switch to VDC1, password, no second, and again we will say configure terminal VLAN 10, exit VLAN 20, and exit, and I will say interface E4/18-19, switch port mode is trunk, no shut. Done. Basic parameters, exit. I am back on my admin VDC. Now I will jump to this box. Let's say configure, switch to VDC2. I am going inside this VDC. Initial setup. Again, in the configuration mode, I will create VLAN 10, comma 20. If you want to create immediately, you can give a comma also. Interface E4/26-27, no range command in Nexus, no shut, switch port mode is trunk, show CDP neighbors. Neighborship comes up here. I have one link that is not coming up, so we have to be very careful. Only one link is working here. 27, 26 is not showing up, right? So we'll troubleshoot that later on, but as of now, our basic task that we were supposed to do is to create a VDC, to create VDCs, to allocate interfaces, and to create two VLANs, right? Now we will go and say OTV. So for you to do OTV, if you remember, what are the basic parameters in OTV? What are the types of interfaces? In OTV, you have two types of interfaces. One is the extend, you can say join interface, and one is the normal interface, right? No configuration done on here. All the configuration is actually done on the overlay interface. This interface is just a mere physical interface, no config. But for doing that, I need to have connectivity with my ISP, and I am running OSPF with my ISP from both the sides. So as of now, what we will do is we will take E4/23. We will use this and run OSPF over here, and over here we will run OSPF. Let us do that, right? Okay. Let's go on N7K1. I will say switch back, switch to VDC1. For me to run OSPF, we should have the feature first, right? Feature OSPF. So I will say interface first, basic IP addressing, but 4/23 as of now. Interface E4/23. No shut it down. If I do not know the IP address of my neighbor, what can I say? Show CDP neighbor detail, right? My neighbor, I have a neighbor over here. This is my backbone router, and he is connected to my E4/23. his IP address is 10.4.1.2. Okay, so best thing is I will say my IP address is 10.4.1.1/30. I kept both of these. So this is 10.4.1.1, 10.4.1.2 over here. I don't know what my ISP is connecting, what is there in the backbone, but by CDP neighbors, I get to see that this guy has 10.4.1.2. I will allocate myself an address in that range. So now we give the basic IP addresses. Can I ping 10.4.1.2? This is going to use the by default. So we have reachability. And if I have been told that my ISP is running OSPF, I will run OSPF. But first, how do we run OSPF? We will say router OSPF 1. And I will say exit. Interface E4/23 IP router OSPF 1 area. Here I know that this is area 1 as per suggested to me, and this is area 2. That is how we will configure. If you do not know, you can configure area and the area mismatch will come up. But we know that we have a diagram and this is how we want to set it up. So I will say this is area 1. By default, I need to change some settings because I have been instructed that the MTU should be increased and there should not be a DR/BDR election. So I will say IP OSPF network point to point so that the DR/BDR election does not happen. I will say end to it, show IP OSPF neighbors. Do I see a neighbor over here? This is the neighbor's router ID. This is his priority. State is full and this hyphen means no DR/BDR election on the segment. Show IP route. If I see, do I see other routes? I see other routes, right? I see unicast best and multicast best and OSPF 1 inter area routes. So same operation we will go and do on the router 2 N7K2. We will be in VDC 1. Switch to VDC 1. And I want to say configure terminal interface E4/23. No shut, please. No shut. Show CDP neighbor details. So this is 19. I have seen some device that is routed to the backbone and he has the IP of 10.4.1.9. So by /30, if I understand, block size is 4.0.4.8. 8 will be the network ID, 9 is free, 10 he has used. So I will assign IP address 10.4.1.9/30, safest assumption. I will say ping 10.4.1.10, ping. Nexus doesn't join pi, so I say ping. It should ping my directly connected neighbor. And then I will say again, feature OSPF, router OSPF 1, interface E4/23, IP, router OSPF 1 area 2. Okay, let us see. So we'll go and say configure terminal interface E4/23 maximum transmission unit for jumbo frames and IP OSPF network point to point, no DR/BDR direction here. Show IP OSPF neighbors. We have neighborship with this router and show IP route. I see routes. Now, what is my IP over here? It is 1.9, right? Can I ping 10.4.1.1? Who is 1.1? 1.1 is this guy. So I have reachability via my ISP. That is very important to have OTV, right? OTV in the backend will use ISIS, but as of now, I have reachability from this VDC to this VDC. Now we will create OTV, right? Let's do that. Let us start from N7K1. Let us start from here, N7K1, assuming that this is my VDC1 and this is my VDC1. Here I have a cloud, sorry. Here I have a cloud, and what I will do here is, this is my join interface. This is my join interface. In OTV, we are mere clients. So we need to run IGMP over here. IP IGMP version 3 source specific multicast. But what we will do is we will first go in the configuration mode and we will say feature first. Feature overlay transport virtualization, OTV, and then we have to say OTV site VLAN between my authoritative edge devices, site VLAN. So as discussed, we will have VLAN number 10 expanded. We will have 10 VLAN expanded and VLAN 20 for our internal purposes, right? So OTV site VLAN is 20 and exit OTV site identifier. This is 1.1.1. This is my site. This is the site name. You can say site number 111. This will be the site number 222. Okay. So now, what did I say? OTV site VLANs and extend site identifier. Now,
Inside identifier, we can.
okay. Let us go in the OTV interface overlay. This is my logical interface, right? In here, we need to configure OTV control group 239.1.1.1 and OTV data group 232.1.1.0/24, and we need to say OTV join interface. Which interface will I join? E4/23. It will tell you that please go and configure source specific multicast on this. We are just clients. We are just going to run this over here and no shut this interface over here. But one more thing we are missing is OTV extend VLAN. We need to tell him which VLAN is your vMotion. For example, this OTV extend VLAN is 10, right? We discussed OTV. We will expand the VLAN 10 on the outside, right? Extend. This completes our OTV configuration. Very simple, clean configuration. And let us do the same configuration on the other side. Let's go on router 2. So this is my data center 2 and this is the interface I am talking about. Let us say configure terminal feature OTV and then we will say, oh, I forgot to say IP IGMP configure terminal interface E4/23 IP IGMP version 3. In here, this was important. I forgot to do this. So I will go back and configure my other mixes. Here I will say OTV site VLAN is 20 and OTV site identifier is 2.2.2 as agreed. And I will say interface E4/23, sorry, IP IGMP version 3. So I don't, sorry, no. And this one will be 3 source specific multicast. And I will say interface overlay 1. OTV, the control group is 239.1.1.1. OTV data group is 232.1.1.0/24. OTV extend VLAN is 10 and OTV join interface is E4/23 and no shut this overlay interface. Same configuration on both the sides. Now they will join this multicast group and they will start extending. How do you check this? First say show OT interface overlay 1. This should be up. As of now, I am not receiving any packets. Show OTV ISIS adjacency. See, it is using ISIS in the backend. And see here, N7K1. I am in the data center 2. I have formed an adjacency with N7K1 VDC1. This is the site over there. Getting the point? My site is show OTV site. If you say, it will tell you this is my system ID and this is my site. Site VLAN is up. Great, good configuration. Getting the point?
VLAN is not fast, right? That is.
So here we can go more further and you can say show OTV. It will tell you that my OTV VPN is up, state is up, extend VLANs, everything looks fine. And one more command that we were supposed to see, show interface E4/, 23 capabilities. This command will tell us about the port groupings. Show interface brief. The previous question was which command will tell us the port groupings. So show interface E4/19 capabilities. As of now, there are no port groupings in here. But if I go on my other data center, show interface E3/18 capabilities will tell me the switch on chip members. Okay, so show OTV ISIS adjacency. This tells me that this is the other data center VDC1 and this completes our OTV configuration.